Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan.
Chris.
I'm burping.
Oh, would that be Lee?
Yep.
Hello, Lee.
Hi.
Dan's back.
Hello! So Lee sat there going, press record, let's start.
I can't help a burp. You know, sometimes burps come when you least expect it, like just then.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're misfiring basically.
Yeah, I've been misfiring for years.
Well, I don't know, you managed to fire properly once.
Well, anyway, Formula One is here. It's
Thank
back.
you,
Enough
Chris.
about Lee's sperm.
Thank you.
It's back after the summer break. Summer break is over.
Hooray!
We've got proper racing again and Belgium and everything and flu.
That's just you with the flu.
Oh, have we upgraded from a cold to flu now?
It's influenza, sir. I can't make it.
It's
Bubonic plague.
It's man flu.
It was the salmon mousse. Anyway,
Story about that for next week's Patreon.
yes, there is.
Yes. So Belgium, what did we think?
It was all right. It was
Nice chocolate.
It was, yeah, they do all right chocolate, don't they?
We had good waffles.
Nice chips.
We had
Nice
good waffles
chips.
during the race.
Yep. Oh yeah, they were very
Let's
good
hope we have some
waffles.
good waffle now.
Whey! The race won't go down as a classic, unfortunately.
No, because it didn't rain.
It didn't rain, and also, even though we had the safety car for the obvious collision, which we'll get to, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, was it the safety car, or if you lose, the safety NASCAR?
Well, it was going way too slow, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
there was.
They've changed the safety car, though, haven't they?
Yeah, it used to be the SLS, was it?
Which is quick as
And beautiful.
and hypercar, and fast. And now it's just like you're taking the kids to the
It
shops.
looks like
Mercedes.
Lewis was going to run into that thing a couple of
Oh, I
times.
think he just had enough. He was just like,
Yeah.
who's got this E-Class Mercedes? Get it out of my way.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're, popping down to Tesco's.
Yeah, if you're a bank manager,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's fine. But when you're
if
trying...
you're burnt Maylander.
No, that's no good. No good.
No, I don't know. I don't know why they've changed it. Is the new one a hybrid and it's plugging their entry into Formula E next year or something?
Oh, I have no
think-
idea.
I don't think
I
it's
don't
that.
think they sell the SLS anymore.
Is that what it is? The SLS is no longer a current model?
I think that's it, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Well, there we go.
In that case, make a fast one.
Yeah, do another hypercar, quick.
Yeah. Start from the back.
And work our way
And
forwards.
work our way forward as usual, which is something that Sauber never seem to do. Well, they get half of it right. They start from the back.
Well, Wehrlein started from near the back, and then was at the back, and then was in the pits, and...
Then didn't come out again.
No, he retired on, I think, the second lap, end of the second lap.
It was ridiculously early.
Do we care?
It didn't make any impact on the race at all.
No.
So not really.
Nope.
Well, he ended up last by Eau Rouge on lap 1
Paul cares.
Yeah.
because
Whatever the problem was, it was enough to retire him.
yeah,
We haven't even heard what it was.
Ericsson managed to get all the way round. Yay.
Yeah.
But both Saubers got overtaken from the start line by McLaren,
Yes, they
which
did.
we'll
Yeah.
move on to next. Put your feet up. This is going to be a long one.
Stoffel Van Dorn did actually manage to jump both McLarens, both Saubers at the start.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that really circles Sauber's problem. It's the cars on the circuit. You know,
Yeah.
they're rubbish.
Yeah.
That's why your sponsor is yourself congratulating yourself for having 25 years in Formula 1.
I did notice that they had a new sponsor on the helmets, and it made that much of an impression. I can't even remember who it was, but the stickers on the helmets looked very last-minutely slapped on.
Yeah.
Probably were.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Let's face it, not only your car's shit, you've got two drivers, one of which on his very best day is average.
And also, they don't get any TV time because of how poor they are. They're never in battles unless they're in battles with themselves. And the only time we saw a Sauber, other than Wehrlein retiring, was when Ericsson was leaving the pits because somebody else was pitting at the time.
Moving on to McLaren, and probably staying there for a
Yeah.
while.
Van Dorn, great start. Alonso, better start.
Yeah, fantastic start for Alonso. What was it, made up 3 places by Eau Rouge?
Something like that. And he...
Bit of luck and a lot of experience, I think.
Yeah, and I think he's got a good lot of experience of staying out of the way of trouble into La Source when it comes to
No, he's
Belgium.
got a lot of experience of staying out of the way of trouble in Formula 1.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's never-
It was in the other half of the garage.
I think he's got a lot of experience in like is making trouble not stick to him in Formula One.
Teflon Alonso.
Teflonzo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fernando Teflonzo.
I mean, McLaren this week just before the race announced that Van Dorn was confirmed for 2018, which
Yeah.
I think we all
already
knew was
knew.
going to happen anyway.
Yeah, Van Dorn had pretty much said it was going to happen anyways, and Boulier had. So it's now official, confirmed in writing. There we go. It's out
Yeah,
there.
they discussed it over cake.
Yeah.
But McLaren's woes just keep getting woeier.
But we all knew that Belgium was going to be a rubbish outing for them.
I think-
and we know the same about Monza.
The problem was, even I know Stoffel gave Alonso the toe, but
In qualifying.
yeah. But even for Stoffel, there was glimmers of hope in qualifying, wasn't there?
There was
But
glimmers of hope
I
in-
didn't expect them to be as bad as they were in the race.
Was it 65 place grid penalty Stoffel had?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. He starts 20th because there's no point in. Was it the start at the beginning of the race said if he had the real terms penalty, he'd be starting at Blanchimont.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I thought that would be quite a fun idea actually.
Don't
with
forget,
with
Button and
penalties.
Alonso had like hundreds each, didn't they?
Belgium,
Belgium
last year, yeah. So in that respect, it's not so bad. But it's already been confirmed that Alonso's going to be starting at the back of the grid in Monza, so he'll get the upgrades that Van Dorn got in Belgium,
And then had
Yeah.
taken away from him.
and then had taken him away from him. Yeah,
effectively
because it didn't
downgraded
work.
him, which is why he got 2 full sets of engine penalties.
Yeah,
Because the spec 3.6 engine wasn't as good as they thought it was, that they'd given Van Dorn, and they reverted to the 3.5, which is what Alonso had and he'd already been penalised for. So that was 2 new complete sets of power units for Stoffel and 2 complete sets of penalties,
Which is-
along with the gearbox. Just to,
yeah, and I think they're doing a 35 grid place penalty for Alonso in Monza. But yeah, we'll. I don't think Alonso's going to be bothering the field too much in Monza unless McLaren somehow do something with aero and it rains and there are spaceships and somebody throws a pack of Smarties on the track that confuses everyone else.
or Skittles.
Or Skittles.
It could be Skittles Racing.
It could be.
Oh, hang on, that was last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, a shit day for McLaren. We have a little McLaren exclusive coming up in a bit.
Yes.
Do we?
Yeah, nobody else has done what we've already done. Will be doing.
We'll be doing. Have
Oh,
done.
yes,
Will be
yes.
doing.
Will
yes.
be having. Oh god,
That exclusive.
that exclusive. Toro Rosso next.
Toro Rosso.
Sainz in 10th.
Kvyat seemed to just be at the back a lot this weekend.
Yeah. Kvyat started with a penalty.
Gearbox penalty, wasn't it?
Gearbox and engine components. It
Oh,
ended up as 25 places.
Okay.
Because his engine cooked in FP3.
Ah, I missed that.
Yes, there was fire.
Ah, see, I didn't see the I didn't see the Kvyat fire.
It looked like
Neither did Massa, which is why he then got 5 places for not slowing down when there was fire coming out of the back of Kvyat's car at the side of the track.
Okay.
So it wasn't the most obvious fire in the world.
No.
Fair enough.
But decent enough showing for Sainz.
Where did he finish? 11th?
10th.
10th.
Yeah.
So he got a point.
He got a point.
Which I think, going back to, it's almost repeating what we said about Toro Rosso last year. I think they are now going to struggle to find points for the rest of the season unless they get some power unit upgrades. And I don't think they're going to get them.
Which Renault say there aren't going to be any of.
No, that's
Well,
what I mean.
they said that, didn't they? Didn't we say last week there's going to be 2?
I think Renault are doing a Williams from last year.
Yeah.
Because Renault
No more upgrades.
No more upgrades apart from the
these.
upgrades that we're bringing in.
Apart from the ones we've already scheduled, which might not be ready yet.
although we're going to talk about Renault and Red Bull later, but they did pretty well as far as finishing positions go, didn't they?
The ones that finished.
So that shows that the engine isn't too bad.
Yeah, it could be that the Toro Rosso doesn't quite have the full thing, although they've now got James Key for another 3 years.
Yeah, James Key signed up for another 3 years because Adrian Newey is not ready to retire at Red Bull yet.
No.
So that means Adrian Newey is going to be sticking around until 2020 at Red Bull.
But I mean,
yeah,
I'm
pretty
not,
much.
Not being funny, like I can't see how all of a sudden sticking key in to design the Red Bulls are going to make him design any better cars than what he's designing at the minute for Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah, I know there's gonna be
Here's a large
but-
amount of money.
Yeah, but that car's gone backwards. You know.
He's considered one of the most impressive designers on the grid.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing any evidence of it.
No, but is that most of that down to the Renault power unit?
Don't forget though.
The Renault seem to be doing.
Don't
all
forget
right.
the big boy Red Bull team will have a bigger budget, so they can actually make more.
Oh no, yeah,
advanced
I understand all
components
that,
for
but,
James Key to design.
but that car is the disappointment of the season.
Yeah, but I think for a while now, James Key has been sort of touted as Adrian Newey's understudy.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
will.
no, that I agree with it all. But what I'm saying is that for when you're talking of like fucking God, Aero God, and you've got somebody in the same breath as it, I'm just saying that car isn't impressive.
No, at the moment it's not.
It's got science in it as well. It's got a good pilot. It's got we think the same engine as what's in the Red Bull and the Renault. It's not like they're stuck with last year's engines or one of those situations.
Well, it's got the same engine that's in one of the Red Bulls and one of the Renaults.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one without the fire installed.
Yeah.
Red Bull. Most of their gains this year have been on aero because they started out. If you remember the season, no, we're not talking about Red Bull at the moment, but they started out their season with quite a basic looking car.
Yeah.
Then they did all those fins.
Their
didn't they,
car
in
wasn't ready.
No, they did all those fins, didn't they,
Yeah.
and tailpieces in pre-season testing. And do you remember that weird floor configuration in front of the barge
Oh,
boards?
the Mad Max floor.
Yeah, we didn't know what was going on with it. But then they turned up at the beginning of the season with a very basic looking car and slowly built the bits on that actually work. So that's where their advancements have come from. Perhaps Toro Rosso don't have the budget, but science scoring points, fair
Well,
enough. Point.
I'm amazed that it doesn't more technology from Red Bull doesn't filter down to Toro Rosso.
Are they allowed to do that now? Because they used to do that, didn't they? They used to run the two teams together.
I know you're not supposed to, but all teams copy each other anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Oops, I left my Red Bull blueprints in the Toro Rosso garage.
well, no, even something as simple as just swapping personnel around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we are. They all work for the Red Bull organisation. You can't ban them from all of a sudden sticking like a driver in Toro Rosso.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really not much. Really
There's
not
not-
much more to say.
No, the anonymous performance, we didn't really see the Toro Rossos on screen that much at all.
Where was
Which is
Kvyat?
good compared to their
12.
last few races.
Yeah, because they've been driving into each other. They've been, causing each other accidents. Not quite the most high profile.
Let's move forward. I want to talk about people driving into each other. Let's move on.
No, we've got another team to do in the meantime. I'm
How do you
afraid.
know who I'm talking about?
There's a more high profile inter-team battle than Toro Rosso.
Because I know exactly who you're talking about, and you're not talking about Haas because they did the usual of two drivers not being close to each other, and it was Grosjean's turn to do well this week.
Yeah, Grosjean got high points, and everybody didn't see him do it.
I'm surprised Kevin Magnussen never tweeted me back.
Or took out a restraining order based on the tweet you sent him.
He apologised to the team. He said, about a tough race today. I'm very, very sorry for the team. Lee tweets to him, why are you saying sorry? Surprised you didn't just tell him to suck your balls.
Fair enough.
There was a lot of suck my balls banners out
There were.
at the weekend, and I even saw the official F1 Twitter account tweeting a picture of 3 people wearing "suck my balls" t-shirts. That would never have happened under Bernie.
No, absolutely not. No, completely not. Something else that would never have happened under Bernie, completely unrelated to what we're talking about, the screen in the cool down room after the race where people's tweets get shown. That would never have happened under Bernie either because he doesn't understand the Twitters.
Maybe Jean Todd's secretary has
Printed them out.
printed them out
again.
And put them up on a screen.
And given them to a designer.
Perhaps. But yeah, again, not for the first time this season, a tale of two races for Haas. Magnussen was way down. I think he was one of the last runners amongst the Saubers. Wasn't he? Was he?
Yeah, 16 finishes, and he was 17 finishes, and he was 16 actually crossed the line, and he was 15th out of them
Yeah.
because Perez did get classified, but
Yeah.
we'll come to that.
So really poor showing from Kevin Magnussen. I mean, all right, he did have a huge accident there last year when he was driving for Renault, but luck doesn't come into it that 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
You kind of have a poor race just because you had a crash the year before. But Grosjean actually finished 7th, I think, wasn't it? Romain Grosjean, which is
Yeah.
7th. It's a hatful of points for Haas. Great drive in the end, but he did it quietly. He got on with the job. There was very little drama in this race in comparison to
Usual Spa.
usual Spa and other races previous in the season, Azerbaijan or something like that. Very little drama. Usually Spa is one of the most dramatic circuits.
Well,
however-
you should mention no real drama.
Well, there was a little bit.
Yeah. Where do we start? Was there any blame? Who got it wrong?
Yeah, there was.
Perez, both times.
Yeah, that's my view as well.
I think first time, for me, that's a racing incident. That's
Push your teammate into a wall.
push your teammate into a wall at the start where you've got a car overtaking you on the left, and you haven't noticed that your teammate's nipped up on the right.
Yeah.
Ocon had to go for the gap. Because if Ocon didn't go for the gap, was it Martin Brundle actually said that if you're not going for that gap, you may as well just go home.
Yeah.
You don't bother turning up. Ocon had to go for the gap because it appeared and he was fast enough to squeeze his car into it. Perez was, as Dan said, not looking. So, all right, racing incident possibly, but Perez is not looking. It's his fault.
Yeah.
I think the more worrying thing is if Perez was looking.
Yeah.
There's Esteban. Nudge, nudge. Get out my way. Yeah. The first incident between the two Force Indias was, in my eyes, less conspicuous than the second.
And I think Perez took responsibility for the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, he's taking responsibility for the first one, but not for the second one, which baffles me completely.
See, I think the...
Perez states that he was taking the racing line, and Ocon decided to put his car in between Perez and the wall.
Is this on the first one or
the second one?
See, it was in the same place, so how can it be...
A little bit further, but yeah.
Yeah, but
round about the same.
Yeah, but the problem was that Perez had just... They were both offline and fighting for the same bit of line because they'd both taken completely different lines round La Source. And Ocon was in the faster car because he was catching and about to pass Perez on the run down to Eau-Rouge, and Perez just moved in on him.
Well, yeah, and also Perez had a 5-second penalty, so what was he fighting for?
Yeah.
There was no rhyme or reason to that at all whatsoever. And I
Red mist.
Yeah, I like Sergio Perez, but I said to Dan and Paul yesterday, I think Perez is threatened by Ocon's pace, his sheer natural pace.
I think
he might be a bit
in his own age, probably.
Yeah, he might be a bit of an arse. Esteban Ocon, was it Daniel Ricciardo said, I don't like that kid's face.
I think so. Yeah.
So, so he might have a bit of a problem, but he's a fast racing driver. You can't deny that. And he is giving Perez. I think he's only in championship. He's only 9 points behind Perez, and you expect really, given that Hülkenberg and Perez were teammates for so long at Force India, and now they've drafted in the new boy in inverted commas, in his first full season in Formula One, after doing half a season in a manor.
Now Ocon says that he's not a rookie anymore because he's now raced on all these tracks.
Yeah, but this is still his first full season.
Yeah,
and all right, he's completed a full year, if
calendar
you will.
season.
Yeah, but this is his first full 20 race or whatever it is, 21
He's
race
done a
season.
full Formula League season on the same game.
But
nice.
yeah, half a season in a manor, does that count?
It's a bit of experience.
It was a little bit of
but-
experience, but yeah. But he's gone to a mid-grid team, and he's proven his worth. He's as good as Perez.
Yeah.
And now he's claiming that Perez tried to kill him twice.
Well, he claimed
That
that
was the tweet.
he claimed the tweet in the heat of the
We were
moment.
having a good race, and this is the tweet after he did the
press
pen
conference.
interviews.
Yeah.
And we were having a good race until Perez tried to kill me 2 times.
Fire. Yeah, didn't he put a fire emoji in there?
I think he might have done. I'm just reading
Yeah.
a report of the tweet. I've not.
I think
seen
it's
the tweet.
fair. It probably wasn't the best thing for him to do, but it was a fair...
Yeah, and Force India said no more racing. We're not gonna. We let them race and said if anything like Azerbaijan
I reckon
happens
there's going to be a
again.
load of radio problems in those Force India radios coming up.
Well,
It'll be interesting to see whose radio doesn't work.
Yeah, and
Otmar Schnafnauer has now gone all paddy low on them, and he's come out today and he's threatening them with threatening both drivers with race bans if they act like dicks again.
Yeah, but I'd love to know how much authority they've actually got to do that, because on one side you've got a team that's batting above its weight for the money it's got, and there's no secret that team and the parent company of that team is in financial difficulties. So I'd imagine, I think the money that Perez brings in is massively important to the team, and I think Ocon being in that car and probably giving them the cheaper engines is massively important to that team. So if they turn around to Perez and say, you've got to do this, and he starts waving his cash around, and then Mercedes turn around and say, yeah, do what you want with your drivers, but not fucking ours.
Yeah.
So I think they might be in this horrible situation, and I think this is why Perez's attitude's got bad, because I think he feels more important than just a driver in that team because of his financial standing in it.
Perhaps, yeah.
He's essentially a quick Ericsson.
Yeah, I like Sergio Perez as a driver. He's a decent, quick driver, but he's not the young lad anymore.
Nope.
Ocon's now the young lad he's the young buck in the sport, and he is. When I said before, he's as good as Perez. He's at least as good as Perez, if not better. Given time, who knows what Esteban Ocon could do? He might be a future Mercedes driver. Who knows?
Do you think that there's? I think for anyone right now, when you look at the drivers that are coming through, like Leclerc and George Russell and Lando Norris, who seem to be as good as like the crop of young drivers we've had through already. Your like Verstappen's and Ocon, and I'll put Wehrlein in that as well, because it's not fair not to, given the cars he's been given.
I would say that Wehrlein in the Manor was as fast as Ocon in the Manor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he had half a season more experience, but I think they're on a par.
Yeah, and Van Dorn, we haven't really seen what he can do in Formula One, but we did see him rip apart GP2.
Yeah.
So if you're a mid-grid, like career Formula One driver, like a Grosjean or now a Magnussen or a Perez, you probably feel very fucking threatened, because all these young drivers are up there and like already getting eyed up by the top teams, which you want to get into. Behind you,
well, I mean the ones you've mentioned are already owned by the top teams.
Yeah,
behind you,
McLaren.
you've got drivers which are also connected to top teams, and they want to get into Formula One, which is probably going to be somewhere around where your seat is.
Yeah, well, look at Grosjean's 30.
Yeah.
He's always been a young driver in mine. I was like, when did Grosjean become 30?
Yeah. And to top all that off, if you're trying to move yourself up the grid, yet one of the best drivers the Formula One has ever seen can't fucking buy himself a decent car
literally
to get into. I think that's where some frustration might come from someone like Perez, that he probably thinks he did have a hand on a Formula One drive, on a Ferrari drive, didn't he, at one point?
A couple of years back, yeah.
And I think given last year, given how he performed, I think he probably thought he had a half a hand on Kimi's seat for this year. And yet again, Kimi's been re-signed, which probably hasn't helped his demeanour.
But we've said it plenty of times before, though, haven't we? Perez would make a wonderful number 2 at Ferrari.
Would he, though, with his attitude now in Force India?
Yeah, I think he would. I think he would be a great Barrichello, Massa style.
I don't think he'd accept that, though.
Yeah, that's
probably not.
I think he would do the job well if he accepted it.
Yeah. You could be a number 2 at Ferrari, or you could be number 1 at a team that's lower down the grid. Because of the money that you're bringing into that team.
Yeah.
Well, Perez is supposed to be one of the people in line for perhaps a seat at Williams next year. Whether or not that comes about, if Massa retires again, we'll see.
I'm convinced Massa and Barrichello, and probably Eddie Irvine to a certain point, although he did win a race and then quit because he didn't want to be a number 2, which I thought was quite honourable. That not many people quit Ferrari.
No.
But I'm sure Massa and Barrichello both had times where they were there looking at either Michael Schumacher or Fernando Alonso and thought, oh, Massa was looking at Fernando, and I thought it's the only way they could get themselves back into gear to do their job was by counting the zeros again.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all go, like, that's their job. We all go to work to earn money. So what would you rather? Would you rather the chance of trying to win Grand Prix, or would you like Ferrari to give you massive checks every week?
I don't know, because these guys, yes, they are there for a paycheck, but they're not just there for a paycheck. They're there to be champions.
Yeah, but I think
there is no one there who doesn't want to be a world champion.
What we've all had, right? We're all, to put it on a slightly closer to home, probably slightly more unfulfilled and unsuccessful thing. Every one of us has been at that age in our band where you thought, this is the band that's going to get me signed, and I'm going to be a fucking rock star. Be it happened once, twice, but there's a certain point you hit in a certain age where you go, probably not going to be a rock star. And I'm sure Kimi thinks to himself now, probably not going to be a 2-time world champion. I can, however, help Sebastian, help Ferrari, get a nice big check every week.
Yeah, I mean, if Sebastian goes off the boil like he did 2014 style, you know, he said his headspace wasn't great in 2014 when he realised that the Red Bull wasn't the best car. So, I mean, if he goes into next season, for example, goes into 2018 and Ferrari are back half a step, even if Vettel goes in as world champion, you know, and Ferrari are back half a step, but Kimi goes, this car's fine, I can drive it all right.
Yeah.
Suddenly you could find yourself with Kimi Raikkonen being like almost like the Daniel Ricciardo of that year, you know, where he's winning the races and Ferrari go, well, actually this guy might throw our weight behind this guy.
There's always a chance if you're in one of the top cars. There's always the chance that luck could go your way, and you find yourself in the position where actually you have to be the favoured driver. But I think there's so many ducks need to be in a row for that to happen for you.
And that's Force India.
Utterly ducked.
Yeah, at the moment.
Yep. Williams next.
Talking about ducked. Ducked in qualifying, better in the race.
They were looking shocking.
Awful.
All weekend.
Worse than McLaren in qualifying.
But they've done this before in qualifying, haven't they? Had shit qualifying sessions, then made it through the race. So are they having terrible tyre heating problems?
Well, that Stroll's qualifying performance was that bad that there was drivers with penalties still ahead of him.
Wow.
There was what happened in qualifying? He needed his rear wing end plate changing or something.
His one of the rear wing end plates fell off after his first run in Q1, and they didn't have time to fix it, so he just didn't have any gaffer tape.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's not, you know.
But yeah, it was just. But they were off the pace all weekend.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, their race pace was okay, I guess. You know, given the fact they've got a Mercedes engine in the back, but they're not threatening. They're around about the Haas's sort of area, weren't they?
Yeah. But I mean, Massa lost
Haas, Renault sort of area.
Massa lost 5 places for not slowing down under double waved yellows.
Stroll was just bad.
Stroll was just
But then through the race, Massa got points, didn't he? Did he finish 8th?
Massa finished 8th. Stroll was just outside the points in 11th.
Well, you know,
I think that's a decent performance
Yeah.
for both of them.
I think so.
Massa especially, he made up 8 places, was it?
Yeah,
to go from 16th to 8th.
He started quite a way down.
That's an okay showing for Williams, given that, you know, the turmoil that we've just spoken about at Force India. And then you've got, you know, the Williams are trying to outscore Force India, and here was a race where they did it, because only one Force India got into the points in 9th, and their driver in the points, Massa, was 1 place ahead. So, all right, okay, you outscored them by 2 points. But you outscored Force India. Let's look at the positives here. Aside from that, there's not an awful lot more positive to go on for.
Yeah, the gap between Williams and Force India is now down to 58 points.
Well, there you go. It's still going to be quite a mountain to climb for the Williams team for the rest of the season, unless.
However, they're now only 5 points ahead of Haas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, unless Force India completely implode.
Sorry, Toro Rosso.
Is it Toro Rosso?
Yeah,
is it?
10 points ahead of Haas.
Well, while we're talking about Williams, what do we think about Fernando and the Williams and the Williams rumours?
Well, apparently it's Lawrence Stroll that wants to put the money up to pay Fernando's salary for next year.
Wow.
It's not the team that are offering him the money.
Lawrence
The
Stroll
one that
wants
I've
him to
heard
teach
is Lawrence
Lance.
Stroll is reaching into his pocket and saying to Claire Williams, if you want to sign Fernando, I've got this one.
To teach my son how to drive.
I can't see it happening.
I can't see it happening.
Fernando wants the World Championship, or he wants something to make him legendary, and I don't see how he can do that at Williams unless they've got a fantastic car package for next year.
Yeah, I mean, the Williams budget is among one of the smallest
Yeah.
when it comes to the money that they pump into the team. They're just very astute with how they
use it.
how they use it and distribute it. Yeah, but for the difference between Ferrari and Williams is something like £100 million or dollars,
And also one's red.
and one's red and one's white. Yeah, yeah. But that's the budget difference there.
Would it-
Is $100 million dollars, but that's starting to show now.
Yeah.
In between Ferrari and Williams, you know, Williams have got. Let's not forget, we've been beaten on these Renault powered engines for being a little bit underpowered.
Williams got Mercedes lump
Yeah,
in the back of
Honda for being terrible. Ferrari have got they've got Ferrari and they're supplying Sauber with last year's Ferrari engines, but that's a Mercedes powered car
it. Yeah.
on a power circuit.
Mm.
It's not just a power circuit, though, is it?
No, but why aren't they building better cars? This is Williams we're talking about. They're in danger of falling back into the clutches of where McLaren are now, which is where Williams were.
Why are Williams the worst of the three Mercedes teams?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was Patrick Head and Pat Simmons. It used to be at Williams, wasn't it? It was Pat Simmons at Williams.
Yeah,
That
one
time.
shouty, one dull.
Yeah, and it does seem
I mean,
to
don't
be.
forget Pat Simmons was definitely there, because if you watch Inside Williams on Sky 19 times every race weekend, Pat Simmons is there and he's talking like this quite a lot.
Pat Simmons, worst television personality in Formula One history.
He
I
says
am
really interesting
including-
stuff. If
I
you
was
can stay awake.
Including
Eddie Jordan. Including Eddie Jordan.
Eddie Jordan, you can listen to and then go, shut the fuck up.
At
That's
least
boring.
he's a cunt.
Yeah.
At least he's a cunt. So he can get like this. Apart from boredom, Pat Simmons summons no emotion from my being.
But have a listen to what he's saying, and it's good stuff.
I can't. Like
Try,
because
Lee,
you
try.
No,
neck a couple of espressos and listen to what he says.
What
Well,
a
he's
couple of
got to send
extras
you
about
to
what
sleep.
Italy's worth.
If he's going to talk about Monza and there were very high F.
No, you're boxing into John Major there.
I've got a little
And if
bit John
anything,
Major.
if anything, that's a little bit too enthused.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, podcast.
you know, I get
wrong with.
ASMR really badly.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, Pat Simmons ASMR.
I know. Well, look, I can't listen to ASMR when it's men. It's
Okay.
not, and it's not like a weird
Sexist.
It's not like a weird sexy thing.
Yeah, it is.
But it kind of is. Because
Everything is with Lee.
No, I just don't want men whispering into my ear. Does that make me weird? I think not.
Hello, Lee. Hello, Lee. Hello, Lee. Pat Simmons here.
No, Pat, please. I'm trying to sleep. Go away, Pat. But yeah, since Pat Simmons and who was saying who else?
Patrick Head.
Patrick Head. He'd be rubbish at ASMR.
No, he just shout a lot.
Yeah. Go to sleep. Sleep now. Go to sleep.
Oh no! Sorry,
bring
listeners.
this back to Formula One?
Yeah, since they've gone, it seems to have dipped more and more and more and more and more to where we are now.
And Williams, don't forget, were pretty much back of the grid team, sort of 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
They did make a leap forward in
Defaulted
2012.
their way when Mercedes won everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get themselves back up the top. But I do wonder whether that little
Stop punching yourself.
the leprechaun that joined the team from Mercedes.
Paddy Lowe.
Yeah. I do wonder whether Paddy Lowe going to Williams might be enough to coax Alonso there.
It might be. Who knows? Fernando might know. But the talk is that Felipe might retire, and if he doesn't, Williams will give him the boot anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for that extra year for helping us out when we sold Valtteri.
Yeah.
Now away with you.
Well, what I did find
Go
funny,
away, retirement boy. Go and
Well-
do some adverts for hair transplant or something.
Well, no, maybe he'll kind of retire, but stay on as development driver, and if they take Alonso on, then he'll run Monaco next year when Alonso's off doing Indy.
Well, maybe, who knows? But you've got candidates for that seat. Paul,
Alonso does owe him a couple.
Paul di Resta,
Yeah, I think there's a
I
good
think
chance.
Paddy Lowe said, "Oh, be open to that." Actually,
Yeah.
Paul di Resta can make a return. He was quite impressive in his half an hour notice in Hungary.
I think he could do it, but I can't see it somehow.
So you got Paul di Resta, you've got Mercedes are pulling out of DTM as well, aren't they? Is it this
Yeah.
year or the end of next year?
End of next year, because DTM is ceasing to exist at the end of next year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there was talk of Verline going to DTM for the last season of it, because Sky was saying at the weekend that he's more or less resigned to the fact that he's not going to get a drive next season because
Wow. He-
Ferrari are going to put Leclerc in the Sauber.
Yeah, well, he is one of the candidates for the Williams seat, surely, being a Mercedes young driver. It's got to be Verline, Ocon, and probably not George Russell, actually. He's too young.
I think Mercedes have
George
given
Russell
up on the
won't
Verline
have the
experiment.
super license points to do it.
No. Also, but he very impressive from the young man at the weekend.
Yeah. He'll have another year though in the junior formula, I think.
Well, he needs it. Even if he wins GP3,
Which he is doing at the moment.
which he will only have 30 points on his super license, and you need 40.
Right.
So he will need to be top
Formula
4.
2.
He'll need to be top 4 in F2 next year.
But has Lando Norris got his super
Lando
license?
Norris will get his super license
If he wins Formula 3.
when he wins Formula 3 this season.
Right.
In fact, he can finish top 3 and still get it because of what he did in Formula 4 last year.
All right, okay.
Well, we're on the
Because we were working this out. We were working this out while we were doing the blog at the weekend. I don't know if you remember.
No,
I think you might have been eating a sandwich at the time.
I might have been.
But I was looking at the points, who's got what, and who will qualify. And George Russell won't have the points until next year. Lando Norris will have the points by the end of this season.
Well, what I read, I think it was an Autosport thing. I can't remember. Well, we're on this little tangent halfway through.
Yeah.
Lando Norris was in an interview, and he turned around and said something along the lines of, "My future and my racing career at the minute hinges on Fernando Alonso's decision."
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, I find that amazing for
Yeah.
a lad his age, because
He's not going to stick around and wait for McLaren to put him in a car.
Well,
That's basically how I read it.
I read it that he was an option for McLaren. That's because I don't know, because he's part of the young driver program, isn't he?
And was incredibly impressive in the Hungarian test.
Yeah, but that to me
The
says
thing was, as I found out about him doing the Hungarian test, that wasn't his prize
No.
for the BRDC McLaren Young Driver of the Year. His prize was
Lego.
a test at Estoril
Oh.
in Jenson Button's old car. And he did that well in it that they gave him a proper go in the big boy car at a big boy track.
wow.
And then he did good.
Yeah, he was
Very good.
second fastest, wasn't he, behind Vettel and ahead of Raikkonen.
And that time would have put him ahead of Alonso in qualifying.
Yeah, they finished 1-2
Yeah.
in two Ferraris in Hungary as well. So it's not like they didn't know what they were doing the day after they won the race.
Yeah.
Or 2 days after they won the race, rather. So yeah, but talking about Williams, it looks like there's going to be a seat opening up. The problem with who goes where is we don't know where Williams are going to be. Are Williams going to be this team that are sort of trying to regain their top 4, hassle the top 3 status again, or are they going to be right slam dunk back with the Saubers again like they were in Belgium?
You've got to feel Paddy Lowe's input in the team will be shown next year. Yeah.
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 You've got to think that a key man in Formula
And he's
1.
brought quite a few people with him.
Yeah, and it's not unheard of for him to go to a team and to make it better. So you've got to think that whatever input he does will make it stronger. The way I look at it is, if he looks like quite a straight talking dude.
Yeah.
So if he's spoken to Alonso and said, "Look, we can give you a car capable of podiums. It's kind of up to you if you want it, if you make it capable of winning." Would that be enough? If just for a year, till till Alonso can see how the land lies. Could even turn around because McLaren have got such a wide on for Alonso, it would appear.
They're trying desperately to keep him.
And basically, he feels that strong inside that team that he can turn around to them and say, look, if you get rid of your engine manufacturer, I'll stay. So he knows, even at his age, that they want him there that much that he can influence what engine they're putting in the car. Yeah? So that's not a complete stretch out of my imagination, that if they want him that much, he could turn around and sign a contract for 2019 as an option for him with McLaren and say, look, I'm going to go over to one of the other teams that have got a Mercedes engine for a year, and then we'll see how everything lies 12 months' time.
If McLaren is still sucky, then he can stay on at Williams. He can go to America.
He could go to Renault if Renault sort themselves out. Because if Lewis retires, because let's face it, now Mercedes, if they can't get Verstappen, which is probably on the shopping list, and probably on like Ferrari's shopping list as well, if they can't get Verstappen, and Lewis does decide to retire sooner rather than later, which we kind of think he might do, Alonso might get his Mercedes drive eventually.
Well, at the moment, I think Verstappen would probably happily go to Sauber, because at least he stands a chance of doing a full race distance.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, are Red Bull next up?
No, they're not actually. It's Renault.
It is Renault.
Talking of cars that can't do a full weekend, they installed the fire in Palmer's car again.
Well, yeah, unfairly so. I mean, Palmer was looking pretty good actually all weekend.
He was looking very good.
Yeah,
Until the race.
Well,
until Q3.
yeah,
No,
because
I don't think he had a very good showing in the race.
He was started on the back foot. He had a 5-place penalty for a new gearbox because the car died in qualifying.
and also his telemetry went all haywire because he was
there
running.
There was electrical problems with the car that weren't just affecting what we saw on the timing screens as well. There was various electrical faults and readout faults going.
Right.
And we did see him getting punting off early on in the race as well.
And Alonso gave him a fairly noticeable shove.
Well, that was a bit later on, but earlier on in the race, I think it was like first couple of laps at Lake Hume, somebody just drifted wide into Palmer and he had to miss the corner completely, and that's why he ended up way, way down. So, much improvement from Jolyon Palmer there. Much improvement. Faster than Hulkenberg.
It was definitely looking good.
Faster than Hulkenberg until his car caught fire.
Yeah.
There you go. And what more do you need to know about that?
Yeah, this week it wasn't shit Palmer, it was unlucky Palmer.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, it's mostly been unlucky Palmer, I think.
I don't know, there's been a few times this season where he's had to push too hard because he's put himself in a bad place and then got it wrong.
I'd love someone to show me how many technical problems he's had, because I think he's almost had one every single race. Sometime over the weekend, even ones where he's had no problem in the race, he has missed a full practice because something's gone wrong.
And even when he hasn't been driving the car in FP1, the car still collapsed.
The last person who looked like he's having was Johnny Herbert.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that.
That's pretty much what Dan said yesterday.
But he just
Congratulations, Dan, you were right.
he just struggled again after the car let him down in qualifying.
Yeah.
He was faster than Hulkenberg in both the first two qualifying sessions.
Yeah.
And then he was looking good for. I think he could have qualified 7th.
He could have done.
He could have been mixing it up with the Red Bulls, possibly even pushing for 6th.
Yeah.
Well, he was running 6th most of the weekend, wasn't he? Over the practice sessions, he was top 6 troubler.
Yeah,
which we would never have dreamed of saying, 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then no car. Hulkenberg, on the other hand, 6th.
Yeah, was running 5th at one point.
Yeah.
Which it's the first time that's happened for a while.
Yeah, since Azerbaijan, I think. I think it was the last time he was running 5th. But
good showing from Renault, really.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it's.
But that floor upgrade, whatever it is they've done, I'm sure the other teams will work it out soon enough. But whatever it is that Renault have done to that floor, it's worked.
It might not even just be it might not be something that the other teams might need to work out. Maybe they've worked out what the other teams were doing.
Yeah,
that could be.
They've just built a better car than what they had.
They could have actually caught up with everyone.
Yeah, but a decent showing from Renault for a change, especially on a power circuit. I mean, all right, fair enough. I was giving the Renault power units a bit of flack for not being completely up to speed, but I don't think. I don't know.
I think the speed's there now in the Renault power unit. Reliability
Well,
might be a bit of a problem.
The speed is there, but Hulkenberg did get passed very early on without DRS by Alonso,
But then Alonso had to turn the engine down, and
and then everybody went past him.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the exception that proved the rule. I think is what Lee would like to say for that.
But then while we're talking about Renault engine failures, move on to Red Bull and Verstappen with his third engine failure of the season
Oh God!
and 6th DNF out of 12 races.
Yeah, so I have a question. Why is it always Palmer and Verstappen and never Hulkenberg and Ricciardo?
Well, Ricciardo did have a bit of shit luck at the beginning of the season. First couple of races, Ricciardo had problems, didn't he, with his power unit?
But since it was Ricciardo, it's not been Ricciardo.
I've worked it out. It doesn't.
I know
It
what you
doesn't
mean.
like being driven really, really quickly or really, really slowly. But I always wonder these things. Like, is it just dumb luck? Like, I'm sorry.
Which it could well be.
Yeah,
Yeah, like last
this year.
Was it last year there were 4 Mercedes failures?
Oh,
And all 4 of them.
more than that.
No, I can't remember how many.
Full blow, but Lewis had awful technical problems.
All the
last year.
Mercedes that blew up, all the
Yeah.
Mercedes engines that blew up were all Lewis Hamilton's.
Yeah, and it cost him a world championship.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I often wonder: like, is it just dumb luck, or is it this year the shit stick has got Verstappen's name on it?
And why is it always Verstappen on a Sunday? Is it something he's doing in the race that's killing
Well, you
the
see,
engine?
this is the other side of it. Is it shit luck, or is it driving style? I don't know. If I did know, I'd ring Red Bull up and go,
This is your problem.
if I got some juicy for yous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's now 3 times that the car's conked out on him on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Then there's been 2 collisions and 1 brake failure.
And the conking out tends to be fairly early in the race, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which suggests that it's not something he's doing in the race. It's
Something to
if it is him, it's something earlier in the
something to do
weekend.
with early lap mode.
Yeah. Don't know.
Maybe they've got like Dave is one of his mechanics. Like Dave's proper blagging it. He's just one of those guys that's really charismatic and really nice. You know, you're sort of drawn to
So
them.
then you open up, you take the engine cover off, and you're like, Dave.
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Why is there a pen lid holding these 2 tubes together?
I don't know. Should we go for a pint and talk about it? Yeah, go on, Dave. Dave's great.
I'm buying.
Yeah, Dave gets to sign his 3rd contract with the team. But maybe Dave's just shit.
I highly doubt in such a well organised organisation, if you will, as Red Bull that's a thing.
Also, if you are a mechanic at Red Bull called
And your name's
Dave,
Dave.
we apologise. We're not picking on you specifically.
Especially
Unless
if you
you
work.
did leave a pen lid in the...
And if you are shit, I'm sorry I rumbled you.
But on the other side of the garage, Ricciardo 3rd. We got asked, who was it? It was by Brad. I'm not even going to have a go at the surname, but Brad.
Brad.
Ricciardo has how many podiums this year and not one of you selected him for driver of the day? As I said to Brad, Ricciardo usually comes 2nd in our blog room driver of the day vote.
The reason he didn't get driver of the day was because he benefited from Verstappen falling away, Raikkonen's penalty. He did a very good move on the straight, didn't he? That put him ahead of Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
I think. But apart from that, Ricciardo just had to drive and watch the other cars in front of him fall away.
Yeah.
It wasn't the classic Ricciardo, I'm out driving the car, no one can keep up with me.
He was the well, I mean,
Raikkonen fell away in front of him. Bottas sort of got it wrong in front of him, and Ricciardo ended up 3rd.
Yeah, but they were still close enough where, given the cars they have, they should have challenged him.
They weren't. They were close enough at the start. They slowly fell away, and they dropped away to over a pit stop behind, which is why when Hamilton had his pit stop, he was just ahead of.
Yeah,
Ricciardo.
but they were over a pit stop ahead of Ricciardo, and
Who wasn't? Sorry.
Bottas
Bottas
and
Raikkonen.
No, that happened. Well, they managed to jump Bottas after he had his terrible restart after the safety car.
No,
It
but
was when the
what I
safety
mean
car
is, given
bunched
the
them all up.
car that Bottas and Hamilton had, they probably should have hassled Ricciardo more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I
You
mean?
mean pulled away from Ricciardo more? Like,
No, even when he got ahead of them, through the pit stops.
Oh right, yeah.
Bottas should have been able to
Through
be.
the
Oh,
last
yeah.
stint, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
On Ricciardo's
wasn't one either Raikkonen or Bottas on a softer tyre than him on the last stint?
I think
Bottas was.
Bottas
Yeah.
who did the last stint on Ultras
Yeah.
when Ricciardo was on Supers.
See, Kimi's problem here, and this is why I genuinely think like maybe this race is will be one of the crosses against Bottas getting another contract, because Kimi's problem he would have been on the podium if it wasn't for his penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have been up there, and he was. To all intents and purposes, if it wasn't the fact that when his tyres were going off, Lewis knew, I need to get past you as soon as fucking possible.
Yeah.
And he dispatched with him in fine style, and drove off into the distance. If he hadn't have done that, Kimi's job would have been fully back him into Vettel.
Yeah.
I think you might have seen a different race in that case. But Kimi was quick enough to help Sebastian, which is Kimi's job. Bottas wasn't quick enough to do anything.
To help Hamilton.
He had no real issues to what I can remember, but he just couldn't hang with. He couldn't hang with the two Ferraris, and he couldn't hang with
He was
with his
pumping him.
teammate.
He was pumping in faster slaps every now and again. But yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, like that could be just down to that moment on those tyres
Yeah.
with that fuel load, with that mix.
Picking up a draft off someone.
Yeah. I think that was the worst race, quietly the worst race of Bottas's Mercedes career.
I think he's had worse ones, but they were at the start of the season
Yeah,
when he
but
was
I mean,
getting used to.
At least
Sydney,
the worst
China or
ones, like, were with him, like maybe pushing too hard, or what I think he had an accident and he clipped somebody or something, maybe somewhere.
He's hit Raikkonen a couple of times, hasn't he?
But he fully mastered that race.
it was a poor restart after the safety car that did him in. He was probably strategy-wise, he was probably on a strategy right, stay behind Raikkonen, go for the overtake in the last stint. But after he cocked up after what happened with the safety car, and he ended up like sixth and had to fight back.
But even before the safety car, you had Kimi, Sebastian, and Hamilton all pulling away from him.
Oh yeah, they were, yeah.
And that's what's more worrying for me if I was Mercedes, because that's the problem. Because it's all right, because the Mercedes essentially turned around this weekend, didn't they, and said all the eggs are in the Hamilton basket, and this is we're gonna work this championship like Ferrari are going to.
Well, they have to now.
Yeah, they have to. They should have done it in Hungary, and I think they know that now. I think that they were stupid to do what they did. But Bottas wasn't fast enough to help, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Considering that Bottas finished behind Raikkonen, who had a 10-second stop-go penalty.
Yeah.
I
mean, you consider the pace Lewis was running at
that's what,
for the whole race.
33 seconds
Yeah.
that
Yeah, but
Raikkonen
it was-
lost. And
It was, but Raikkonen was behind Bottas, and then he had that awful safety car restart where he went off the track, and Raikkonen and Ricciardo got past him.
yeah,
That's why.
And the safety car was after the stop-go penalty, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So that 30-second gap
Was
gets
that
wiped
was
off.
nullified.
that went,
Yeah.
but just we appear to have moved on to Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Danny Rick did very well to get another podium, there to pick up the pieces when things go wrong.
He's always there to pick up the pieces. He doesn't get the driver of the day because he doesn't do the spectacular things at the moment, but he's quietly there saying, "Oh, there's been a couple of people drop back.
He's
I
one of
picked
the-
up third yet again."
He's one of the drivers of the season so far.
Red Bull are in there, the little Red Bull bubble, aren't they? Where they're not quick enough to catch Mercedes and Ferrari.
They should be
unless
fifth and
something goes
sixth.
wrong. Yeah.
No, not third and not there.
But they're comfortably ahead of everybody else. So, Yeah, when
I'm
one of
not
them,
sure they're comfortably ahead of Renault anymore. Renault was starting to look a bit close to
maybe
them.
not. Yeah, they were.
Renault have just got to sort out their race pace a bit more. Yeah, that's where Red Bull have got. Red Bull have got not spectacular single lap pace at the moment, but pretty good race pace. I was massively impressed with the fact that Ferrari managed to stay with Mercedes the whole race. I think the thing that won that race for Mercedes was their decision to undercut Ferrari rather than the other way around. That was the decision that made it for them. And then the
And Ferrari didn't get scared into making a stop straight after Mercedes for once.
yeah,
that
I
was-
think
Which was probably good on their part.
Yeah, that was unusual because we've seen it.
I still
countless
think they
times.
should have left. I still think they should have left one of their cars, probably Raikkonen, out for a lot longer. All right, Mike Cox Raikkonen's race up, and he had that stop-go penalty anyway. But
We saw Kvyat stay out for a long time on his first set of tyres, if I remember right.
Yep.
And it didn't work out too well for him.
Don't forget though, Raikkonen they brought in just after Bottas had overtaken him.
yeah,
And then it was a case of there's no point leaving him out. He's on slower laps. He's not holding a car up. Bring him in now and let's get what we can out of it. I don't think they could have left Raikkonen out any longer because he was going to be losing time on a set of tyres that was effectively finished.
I think even that lap he was only left out because they were hoping he could stay ahead of Hamilton.
Yeah, sorry, it was Hamilton that he was
Yeah.
blocking, not Bottas. But yeah, they wanted to see if he could back Hamilton up.
Yeah.
He couldn't. The pace
think
wasn't.
He would have done
There.
if
Hamilton actually got past Raikkonen before he opened his DRS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a full car length ahead, and then opened the DRS on the Camel
Yeah.
Straight. That was how.
Yeah, the Camel Straight. I checked back on the live blog yesterday, and I actually did write the Kimmel Straight at one point, as in Jimmy Kimmel. Oops.
That or the Camel Straight would have been perfectly acceptable as mix-ups.
Yes.
Yeah,
Seeing as Camel did used to sponsor multiple Formula One teams.
I used to smoke them as well.
Oh no, they're one of the worst smelling cigarettes ever.
Yeah, but there was method to my madness. It guaranteed nobody had ever scrounged cigarettes off me.
Fair enough. No one will ever scrounge cigarettes off me because I'll be dead in a week.
Well, there is that as well. Smoke responsibly. Oh no, don't
Don't smoke.
smoke. Hamilton, his race though was just doing exactly what was expected.
Flawless, I think, was what
Yep.
Nicky Lauda said.
Yeah.
He said for the whole race, Vettel put him under so much pressure that one slight mistake and he wouldn't have won that race. And if anything had gone wrong, he wouldn't have won that race at all. So, yeah, but I don't know that Mercedes had their engine up all the way, all the time. I think they maybe just had it in a mode where they were able to just sort of...
Good enough.
Yeah, just sort of, we'll stretch that little 2-second gap.
Yeah.
And, occasionally coming on
They've
the
got
radio.
a-
Winning
Just-
as slowly as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just quicker
exactly,
than
yeah.
Ferrari button.
Yeah, winning as slowly as possible is the best way to do it. Yeah, just quicker than Ferrari button as well.
Now, Lewis
Whereas
has
just-
said that he got his engine in the wrong mode, and that's what helped him win.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like you hear the radio calls occasionally, don't you? But you see it happen with the times, like Vettel close it down, it'd be 1.7, 1.4,
Yeah.
1.3,
And then Lewis would
1.1.
pop up
It's just like,
second
oh,
in.
is he gonna get into DRS range here? And then all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton 1.8,
Yeah,
2.1.
yeah.
Like, okay, right, maybe not then. And then again it comes down 1.8,
Yeah.
1.7, 1.5. Yeah, always he's doing it again. Then also Hamilton again.
I don't
2.3.
think that was so much Hamilton pulling the laps out as a real good indication of how bad these cars are to follow each other.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think
Well, yeah, this
when
is-
it's getting there, when it's getting
This
within
actually ties in
1.5,
perfectly with what Lewis said because
because that's only dealing facts.
Vettel was too close to him at La Source
Yeah.
for him to get a good run down to Eau Rouge and make the pass.
Mm-hmm.
So because Vettel had lost momentum, Lewis was able to pull away, and Vettel didn't have the speed coming out of the hairpin
Yeah,
to keep up, and that allowed Lewis to.
they're just hitting that wall of turbulent air.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm just right. I'm used to it by now. It's not my fault.
Jesus. What?
Quite subdued win though for Lewis Hamilton. Do you know, nobody. I mean, he looked relieved more than jubilant. It was like
He did come bouncing onto the podium.
Yeah, but it felt like more like punches of relief.
Yeah.
Like yes, I managed to stay ahead rather than we won that easily or.
No, that was I think
I don't know if Mercedes do have a little bit more in their pockets to give, but if they are keeping a little bit back, we'll find out in Monza.
Yeah. The other interesting thing I thought was the relationship between him and Sebastian now, because Vettel clearly tried to speak to Lewis, and Lewis gave him the full.
They said something to him
on Rosberg treatment.
No, Lewis said something to him that was quite. Lewis is already starting to play mental games with Vettel.
Yeah,
what did he say to him?
I think Vettel said that he was catching Lewis somewhere, and Lewis said, "Oh yeah, I was lifting up there."
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
I was catching you through a certain section, and Lewis said, "Yeah, I had to lift to save the tyres." and that was all that was said.
Yeah.
So we know that Lewis Hamilton plays mind games. He did it with Nico Rosberg for all those years.
Yeah. Mind gamed him out of Formula One.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I quite like them actually. I've got to be honest. I quite like the mind games
Yeah.
in sport. I do like psychological warfare. It's fun.
You're just a sick, twisted. I don't know. I'm talking to you, Chris, not Lee, and using that sentence. I'm
My
now confused.
No. For at least Floodlight's competition, my favourite thing about Formula One for the last few years is when Kvyat nearly had a nervous breakdown.
Doesn't matter what the sport is, you just like to see people suffer mental turmoil.
Yeah. I watch Cake Boss now and again just because I like to see people's dreams crushed.
I want a cake that looks like Princess Diana. No, you can't have that.
Smash.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or they're halfway through building it and they come in the next day and it's collapsed.
What tunnel would you like it in?
No.
Anyway, talking to Mercedes that do work. So, who do we think our heroes and villains were then? I'm going to start with my villain, and it's whoever does the engine mapping for Honda. Because Fernando outdrove the car because he took poo on flat, and that confused the energy recovery system, and it didn't deploy any power because it thought it was in the wrong place on the circuit.
Basically, bullshit, and I think Flood was right, and you should tell the listeners what you thought that was.
Well, Alonso came out and said he had no confidence in Honda, didn't he, basically?
Yeah.
Or no, Honda said he's got no confidence.
Hasagawa said that
Alonso's got no confidence.
in them.
So I think somebody's come out and said, well, that's a huge error on our part, but let's make it sound like Fernando's the hero here. Fernando drove the car so hard that he broke our system because he's so good. Please stay with us.
Well, what they're saying is that the car knows where it is on the circuit based on how much the driver uses the accelerator. So, if you're off the accelerator, it guesses that you're in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And because he took poo on flat and the car wasn't expecting that, it didn't think he'd gone through poo on. So,
does that not sound crazy fucking dangerous? And it's almost like putting a limiter on it. So if all of a sudden you think you're feeling particularly good, and you try and do something that maybe
that's like switching. That's like going on holiday and switching your computer on and it goes, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's not Tuesday, computer. It's actually Friday. But well, I thought it was Tuesday because you normally switch me on every day, but you haven't switched me on for the last few days, so I still think today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that.
yeah, it seems a bit rubbish.
I think it's Honda blowing smoke up Fernando's ass to try and get him to stay. That's my only explanation.
I agree with that. That could be a possibility. I think the other possibility is it was just a nice excuse for another problem.
Yeah.
God knows they've got enough of them. Excuses and problems.
Yeah. So, but anyway, anything Honda related, you can have that as a villain. That's
Right. Okay. Villain.
Yeah.
Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I can understand Fernando's frustrations, but I kind of want. I don't want to put him in the villainous category, but I kind of want to.
This is new, isn't it?
Yes.
We usually do the heroes and villains before the race. We've never done it afterwards.
We did it afterwards. After
We did it.
yeah.
We did it in Hungary and Austria.
Did we?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I can't remember. Carry on.
Because somebody said, why do you always do the heroes and villains before but never after? So you can talk about who the real heroes and villains were rather than your predictions.
Right.
Or how they compared to your predictions.
So, is Dan's got anything different to say on the villains front?
I think it's a bit unfair to put Honda as the villain because we knew they were going to be crap.
Yeah.
But they were
We knew
extra crap.
3 weeks before the race that they were going to be crap in Belgium.
Yeah.
We know that they're going to be crap in Monza.
All right, it's kind of like being pissed off that Sharknado's not up for any Oscars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't invite a Nazi to a bar mitzvah and then get upset when things go wrong.
Pretty much,
Great
yeah.
way,
Little extreme, but yeah, okay.
great way of putting it.
So, but yeah, they were more villainous than I thought they'd be.
So heroes then,
Can we say Lewis for
not
Doing
getting anything wrong.
pretty much flawless weekend? It's got to be one of the hardest circuits.
I disagree on villain. Sergio Perez was the villain of the piece this weekend. He was the only one that actually tried to murder somebody. That's pretty fucking villainous.
Twice.
Yeah.
In the same place.
Just had a message here from, can't quite read his name, but he says, no, Sergio Perez was not at fault at all there. That's at Checo something or other.
So yeah, Perez was villainous
Okay, so we'll just make Ocon the hero for not being killed.
for avoiding murder.
My hero of the race would be Force India's front suspension.
Did a damn fine job of
My
not
hero-
falling apart.
My hero of the race is Guy Martin for being rear left wheel off on the Williams pit crew and not getting it wrong.
Yeah, but he was rear left wheel off, and the guy that was putting it there, he was off.
Left rear off.
Yeah, and the guy that was on fucked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and turned a 2.3 second stop into a 4 second stop.
Also, hero of the weekend was whoever made the meme of Guy Martin speaking to Felipe with the car covered in tarp, and somebody put the caption in saying, "Listen, lad, I didn't come here to cover to pick up after your shit. Now go stick the kettle on. This is going to be a long one."
I can't actually just imagine Fernando doing the usual sort of stomping up and down the pit lane, slagging Honda off, and Guy Martin going, "Aye."
Yeah, for those who don't know, Guy Martin pretty much refused, well, didn't pretty much, he did, he refused to ride the Honda at this year's Isle of Man TT after
Falling off.
Well, after having an accident where he went from, he tried to change down a gear, but the bike just went into neutral.
Yeah.
So he had to pretty much throw himself off the bike
I'm sure
to not
John,
die.
I'm sure John McGuinness has got a few things to say about Honda as well.
Yeah.
I think Honda
He
put
wa-
out a
Jo-
press
I-
release saying it was a mutual decision that he wouldn't
Oh,
race.
right. Yeah, of course it was.
I did see John McGuinness riding round the TT paddock on a Honda quad bike last week.
Yeah, with his leg in a brace.
With his leg in a brace because he couldn't walk, and at the moment, because of him being chucked off his Honda bike for exactly the same thing, until the screws and plates and corrective surgery are done, his right leg is 2 inches shorter than his left.
Ooh, Johnny Herbert style.
Yes. Yeah, Honda have made a mess of everything.
Yeah.
Right. There is one more thing.
And Marquez, this weekend. Honda made a mess of Marquez too, didn't they? Didn't no one
Don't
from
know.
GP?
No.
No, I kind of passed out by that point.
It's a good race, but his engine let go.
Yeah, I got it recorded. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. 'Cause
Spoilers?
There was. I kind of know what happened. There was all the sport this
Do
weekend.
you know who won?
Not
Not
Russell.
Marquez.
Dovizioso. Carry on.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, there was all the sport this weekend, but just
Please don't change the password on your account.
There you go. Right, there is just one more thing to close out the review of Belgium.
Oh, there were some radio messages.
There was some radio messages, and obviously because FOM own the rights to the actual broadcast transmissions, we now present a dramatisation of Alonso.
Embarrassing. Really embarrassing.
Yep, Fernando, we see that. Be careful. We have 2 warnings for turn 4. Magnussen is 1.2 seconds behind Grosjean.
I really don't care about all the gaps too much. This is just a test.
Fernando suggests shape 4 to protect the rears.
No more radio for the rest of the race.
Fernando, Stoffel is pitting this lap.
Why? The only car I will overtake.
We didn't want to be pushed back into Palmer and Stroll.
They will pass anyway, but it will not change my life. Any rain expected?
No rain on the radar.
Engine problem.
Okay, let's box.
Right, well, as far as news goes this week, not got a great deal because we're in the middle of 2 back-to-back races.
Yeah, and also the factory's closed down for summer and they've only been open a week.
Yeah.
Couple of bits and pieces, but nothing that
Basically.
wasn't related to Belgium, or we haven't already discussed.
We touched the main thing.
Yeah.
The main thing was the Alonso Williams thing. That was the biggest thing to come out, wasn't
Vettel contract, he's
Yeah.
signed, but
Vettel's
we
got
knew
3
that.
years, Raikkonen's staying on for next year.
We knew that.
it? Does this mean Raikkonen's going to get another 2 years and 2 years at Ferrari if he just keeps doing what he's doing?
One at a time.
Yeah.
I think Raikkonen's got to stay at Ferrari for as long as he wants it.
I was amazed to find out that Vettel has written into his contract a no Alonso clause.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Crazy. Doesn't that just show you how good Alonso is?
Does it show you how good Alonso is, or does it show you that Vettel thinks him and Alonso couldn't work together?
Well, yeah.
Well,
but
them
it's,
two working together, being on the same team,
it's probably a bit of both.
Prost and Senna all over again.
Quite possibly, yeah.
But I think it might just be a bit of both. But yeah, I was amazed to find that. I mean,
Does he have any other?
I was just going to say
No Hamilton, no...
Palmer. No.
I mean, Vettel might.
No Lando Norris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, Vettel
If
might
you
do
did that
Lando.
time in the McLaren, what would you do in my Ferrari? You can get lost.
Maybe he's got a know anybody but Kimmy clause in his contract.
I like the idea of Vettel now speaking to one of the guys that say that can't speak English, and he'd like speak holiday English to him, going, "He Lando, me take offo."
That's exactly how you're going to talk when you're in America next month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
have we got much news? Really, not really.
Not
possibly.
really. Fernando didn't seem too happy about being asked to pee in a cup.
Yeah, well, it was Vettel. Who was,
Sorry, Vettel
yeah,
wasn't happy about peeing in a cup.
yeah. We sort of touched on that already. We're not his pee on a
Ooh,
cup.
you touched his pee.
No, we didn't touch his pee.
That is about it. Mick Schumacher did the demonstration.
Oh yeah, that was
the 94 Benetton.
good to see.
Yeah.
He seemed very pleased with that he got to drive the car.
Yeah,
Smiles all round.
Apparently, Mick Schumacher is sick of being asked when are you going to be in Formula One.
Yeah. Also, the three people interviewing him on the grid there, Pat Simmons, James Allen, for some reason.
Fuck, who invited that prick back?
I can't remember who the other person was, but was it Will Buxton?
Might have been.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember who it was, but James Allen when he sort of walked off was just like, oh yeah, Mick Schumacher, we look forward to seeing him in Formula One soon. So well, maybe he doesn't want to go to Formula One. Has anybody actually asked him?
I'm pretty sure he wants to come to Formula One.
He wants to be in Formula One, but I think he's just sick of being asked when he's going to be in it.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to be next to James Allen ever again.
No. Pretty sure anybody who's been next to James Allen doesn't want to be next to James Allen,
Including
again.
Mrs. Allen.
Is there a Mrs. Allen?
I don't
Oh, no.
There's a man that's been divorced, isn't there? He's been left by women in the past. Just completely. There has been times where whoever has been Mrs. Allen at the time has just got sick of his bullshit.
I don't
and
know if
left one day and never come back.
I don't know if I came home to somebody who had their initials on F1 as a website, I might just go, oh, I'm just going to pack a suitcase now.
Yeah.
So we're renaming the website to CF on F1, and then we'll see what happens.
Do it. It'd be hilarious.
Can we not name it FOJA?
Yeah, FOJA.
On F1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from that. I tell you what, how
I prefer James Allen under a train. That would be a better website.
how about,
Anyway.
Shots from a 1901 melodrama.
yeah, we're back to who's the villain again. We've got Perez twirling his moustache. Can we talk about Monza instead?
Whatever you want.
That's got a station very close to it, so you could throw him under the train there.
It's got a station very close to it, and I've been to that station.
And you've fallen over at that track.
I did fall over. I crashed.
Lee crashed at the Parabolica.
Really? I thought he'd just prefer to end up face down in a Lesmo.
Hey, that's a good one.
Fucking come on, Paul.
That's brilliant.
Take more of those drugs.
I like prescription chemicals.
Fucking hell, downhill for the rest of the year, innit?
Yeah, we've got the Italian Grand Prix coming
That was a
up this
big up
weekend.
Curva Grande.
We have the Italian Grand Prix coming up this weekend.
Yeah, we do.
Second attempt.
Back to back.
Yep, and it's another power circuit, and I think we're going to get more of the same.
Pretty much. Less downforce than you see at Spa.
One thing, less downforce. Did you notice, if you saw any of FP2, Red Bull were running a new front wing, or testing a new front wing on Danny Ricciardo's car. They were running their Monza wing. Because, as it got described at the weekend, it was more a T-tray than a barn door. They have a very minimal rear wing.
Oh no, not stacks and stacks of wing on it for a change. Yeah, not building the mini wings on the front wing.
Yeah, but
Good.
no, they've got a brand new rear wing that they'll be using now that they know that it works and doesn't fall off.
Good. I'm all for technological advancement, but this sort of silly aero stacking wings on wings on wings. And when does it stop? When you got like a tower that's not got to snap when you're doing over 180 mile an hour.
Yeah.
So
This is going to be a tricky thing for Formula One after when they rejig the rules.
oh
because-
no, the door is open. We're about to be invaded by cats.
No, Paul's on it.
Paul's on it.
Yeah, Formula One's got itself, I think especially with this year's cars now, it's got itself in the unfavourable position where we've gone, yeah, the cars are fucking fast again, everything's ace. But now we're gonna have to work away how to make the cars the same or as fast without relying on fucking aero as much. I think that might be tricky.
Back to Italy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one for Mercedes. I think Ferrari will be possibly even closer.
I think.
Well,
Yeah, I
they're
think
going
they
to be
could win
fired
it.
up. Yeah, they're going to be really
Yeah.
fired up by the home crowd at Ferrari. It's going to be a sea of red. We've got for the first time in how many years?
Well,
10 years?
It was a sea of orange in Belgium, and that didn't do much good for McLaren.
Well, no. they weren't there for
That's because it was
McLaren.
Irish orange.
Oh yes, it was,
Yeah.
according to Lewis.
Yeah, Irish orange. What's he talking about,
I
man?
think he was taking the piss.
Yeah, I hope so. But it'll be a sea of red, and it'll be for Ferrari because let's be honest, they turn out in their droves anyway, even when Ferrari are doing terribly.
Yeah.
But we've got Ferrari leading a world championship going to Monza for the first time since when? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Raikkonen, even though he won the championship in 2007, he wasn't leading the championship at Monza. I think Alonso might have been leading a championship in 2010 or something like that when they went there. But the atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to be great for Ferrari. If Mercedes, as I said before, are keeping a little bit of extra power in their pocket, they're going to have to show it at Monza. They really are going to have to push hard at Monza. Because the home fans do give you that extra.
It's flat as well, so maybe the old Mercedes power won't be as won't be
There's
as
a
prevalent.
gentle hill, isn't there? But it's not much.
I didn't notice one.
Yeah,
it's-
after Curva Grande going up towards the first part of the Lesmo. It's a slight incline.
Yeah,
and then coming back down towards the Ascari, there's a little bit of a dip, isn't there?
There's a dip under the bridge.
There's
Yeah.
a dip under the bridge, but there's nothing there that
It's not undulating like Spa.
there's nothing there that I think having a good lump in the back of your car would make any fucking difference.
But it's all straight lines.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, as in just something to get you up a hill, because people forget that. Like, it's not just about fast on the straights. It's about what can get you up that hill better, especially when you've got a rouge and stuff like that. But I still think though,
out of the corners and out of the chicanes is going to be important, because get early on the power, get a lot of power down, and you'll be doing the higher speed to, as you be able to tell from Formula Lee, but you'll be doing the higher speed towards the end of the straights.
I just had a fucking thought.
What?
Wow. I wonder if Bottas being slower than Hamilton and slower than the Ferraris had more to do with him not being happy with being number 2'd than it did with him being slow. I wonder if his fucking head's dropped.
Oh, maybe. Who knows?
That's one we'll find out this weekend.
Because like he must have gone into Belgium thinking he was still he still is mathematically in shot of a championship.
Do you know what could break Ferrari hearts at Monza before the race even starts?
Sergio Marchionne?
No. If Lewis Hamilton beats Michael Schumacher's pole record at Monza.
Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be really funny.
If he gets his 69th pole position on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that could hurt them, but again, it's going to be really, really tight, because you haven't got quite the undulating different sections as you have at Spa. I mean, Spa and Monza for me are the two back. I'm glad they're back to back, but they're the two races that I look forward to the most in the season. Usually, Spa and Monza. Spa was unspectacular. I wonder if Monza will make up for it.
I tell you what, I'd argue if
the undercut's huge as well, isn't it, at Monza?
Yeah, the undercut's massive.
Yeah.
But here's a thought: if what we think is, because the reason we're looking at Singapore and stuff being better for Ferrari than Mercedes, because without saying it, we kind of must think that maybe Ferrari have got the better chassis. Than
Possibly,
Mercedes.
yeah.
Mm.
So does
Mercedes is still built around that suspension that got banned before the beginning of the season.
So does that mean that when Ferrari go to Monza, they'll be able to dump off more downforce than Mercedes?
Maybe.
Possibly.
And I wonder if that'll make the difference. Yes, maybe Mercedes, like McLaren did that year when they had to put wing on, didn't they, to get themselves through the twisty bits, and it worked well to get them to a position, but
they couldn't get
win.
any further. No,
yeah.
And then was that the same year that Lewis decided he was going to banzai the last lap, and he was 4 seconds up in the first sector and then crashed in the second sector.
That'll be the one.
Yeah, he was on lap record time or something in the first sector, and then he crashed. Yeah,
he did a lot of that year.
He did. Yeah, he did a lot of crashing. But that was Senna-esque Hamilton, and he's weirdly more Alain Prost now.
I think he's more Prosty. I've always thought if there's any driver on the grid that should be compared to Senna, it's Alonso. I think he's much more Senna-like than any other driver that's been around.
Taking risks every time. Yeah, I suppose, especially in his earlier days.
Yeah.
But
He's got black hair as well.
Back to the hair game.
Yeah.
did anyone see Sainz's awful hair after the race?
Post-race hair is bad.
Well, no, it wasn't all bad. It was good on one side and bad on the other. It was kind of the hair equivalent of that split helmet that Mick Schumacher had.
I need to check this out.
Yeah, and also he is a robot because he was switched off for a while. He didn't blink.
You were timing in between blinks, and I think you got up to about 35 seconds.
Yeah, and then he blinked, and then it was like someone restarted Carlos Sainz, and he walked away.
What is your primary function?
Exactly.
Drive a Renault. I mean, predictions then.
Yeah, this is the toughest of the season so far, I think.
I'm going with a Ferrari win.
Which one?
Duh. It'll be Vettel.
Okay.
I think we might see a Raikkonen pole.
Yeah?
They might risk Raikkonen's engine or car or race to stop Lewis getting on pole.
Possibly. I see what you mean. So that they give
turn everything up to full so that Raikkonen can do one lap and be in pole position. whereas Vettel will be set up to win the race.
He's got to have a better start, Raikkonen, than he had. Was it last year or the year before when he decided his gearbox wasn't going to work? Kept him in the same gear, going off the start, and I think he ended up last. He started second, was it, and ended up last by the first turn. Yeah, not great start.
But yeah, Vettel to win.
You could say Vettel to win, Raikkonen second.
Possibly, but
If we're going to see any engine blow-ups, it's going to be here, isn't it? Here or Suzuka, really.
Mercedes have been awful good this year, haven't they?
Nobody's had an engine blow-up. The only people who had engine blow-ups are Honda. That's it. They're the only ones.
Yeah, they're finished, aren't they? They might as well not start.
I don't know. I think the Renault's had a couple of blow-ups.
How's it?
have they had blow-ups? They've had lots and lots of failures.
They've had breakdowns.
Didn't Palmer's engine go in Hungary?
Yes, it did actually. FP
And
FP3.
Kvyat went on Friday.
Was it actual engine blow? Was that?
They had to replace the lot.
Oh,
That's why
you
he
go.
got the 25 place drop.
They were making love by Wednesday.
So
that joke gets used far too much on this show, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I don't think Ferrari and Mercedes have had an engine blow yet. I don't think. Not during a race, anyway. Definitely.
No, definitely not during a race.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's always been that Mercedes had the power to just pull away from everyone. I don't. This really is very tough. Have you got a hero and villain, or have you got a top three, third place?
Third place, Ricciardo, because he's always in third.
Because he lives there.
Yeah.
Do you reckon if you send a postcard to Daniel Ricciardo, third place, it'll get to him?
Daniel Ricciardo, third place on the podium, Monza.
Yeah. So you're going
international stamp on it, and we're good.
Would you like a return to sender on this? No. Yeah, I'll get there.
So Vettel, Raikkonen, Ricciardo.
Vettel, Hamilton, Ricciardo.
Vettel, Hamilton, Ricciardo. Hero? It's got to be Vettel, hasn't it, with a win in Italy?
Depends on your point of view.
Villain?
Depends on your point of view.
Villain is going to be Honda again, because they are going to not put in a good performance, and Alonso will be just as moany.
You do realise that now doesn't qualify as low-hanging fruit. That is picking it up off the floor.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, what are you saying for your top three, hero and villain?
Top three, with you on the Vettel.
Oh,
There
Dan's
might,
had a thought.
yeah, there might be another villain.
Dan's had a thought.
Otto Schnaffneuer might be the villain.
You reckon?
If we've got a potential interesting race between the Force Indias.
And he was like, nah.
And he's, no, hold station.
Otto Schnaffneuer sounds like a Nazi transformer.
Autobot or Decepticon.
You can tell him that because he's a big man.
It's got to be Decepticon, hasn't it?
Well, no, Autobot Schnaffneuer.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, where was I? Yeah, Vettel, Hamilton, Bottas.
Resurgent Bottas.
Yeah, I think it was a case of pick a Finn for third place.
Fair enough.
So we've said how strong the Mercedes are going to be, and we've got two people predicting a Ferrari win.
Well, I
but-
don't know. This is the thing.
Saying how strong the Mercedes are going to be, I said Ferrari are going to be a lot better this time round,
Yeah.
which is why I'm going for a Ferrari win. But yeah, I'll modify this slightly. Vettel, Hamilton, someone from Finland.
JJ Leto.
Hey, why not? Mika Salo.
Hero villain?
Hero and villain. Hero. Nico Hulkenberg. Because I think he will once again get up into the top six when
When he shouldn't.
that Renault shouldn't be there. But I think he can do it because we know he's quick, and I think he'll wring the neck of that car. Villain, whichever Force India driver
disobeys.
do what Schnafnoyer tells them to do,
Yeah,
and
I-
screws the
I was
race up
thinking
for the
that.
other one.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, first corner incident, not necessarily on the first lap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some tight chicanes there, and if those cars are racing very close together,
Yeah.
one of them will fuck things up for the other one.
Hold station.
And themselves.
Hold station. No, tell him to get out of my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's got to go wrong because they are.
Hold station.
Sorry, the Sergio you are trying to contact cannot answer.
Error 404. Sergio not found. What's your top three then, Lee?
Hamilton, Vettel, Kimi.
Hero?
Hamilton. I think it'll be a close one between the two. It'll be like Spa, but I think just closer because it's essentially like it's quickest race, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
so
so,
it's
yeah.
basically a sprint race, isn't it?
Yeah,
for them?
essentially. It's only just over an hour, isn't it? Usually.
Yeah.
About an hour and 15.
See, on the other hand, if Ferrari can really push Mercedes, maybe the villain will be Mercedes when the engine lets go.
Oh, who knows?
But,
So many.
no, I'm going Hamilton, Vettel, Raikkonen on the podium. Hero. I don't see. Realistically, there was no hero in Belgium, so I can't see the thing for a hero. I can't see anybody out driving there. I think it's going to be very much drivers are where their cars will put them.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck it. Why not Hamilton? Hamilton will be hero. He'll get pole and he'll win from pole. Villain. Honda's obvious in it. Sergio Perez. So Sergio Perez will do something cunty, even if it's not a coming together. It'll be he'll be holding Ocon up or something, and they'll want to swap the cars around or something like that, and he won't want to swap the cars, or you'll
I'm sorry,
complain.
Dave, I can't do that.
They
right
will
now.
have to. They will. At some point, they will have to be reminded that they're not allowed to race each other over the radio.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
Chris?
I'm going to go the same as Lee. Hamilton, Vettel, Raikkonen. And my hero is going to be the weather. I think it's going to absolutely chuck it down on Saturday. Make the qualifying really interesting. There's going to be a jumbled up grid and nowhere near what it should be like. But so many people will not want to change from their race setup, so they've got no downforce on a wet track. And it'll just make things really interesting. It'll be the villains for the drivers and teams, but for the fans and there's the people who, casual watchers of Formula One, it'll definitely be the hero. And the villain, despite the fact that he wins, will be Lewis Hamilton. Because if you deny a Ferrari win at Monza, you're a villain.
Is he going to win in a slightly controversial way as well? So that
Possibly. I think there will be overtakes on Sunday because I don't think qualifying is going to go to plan because nobody will want to give up their race setup knowing that it's probably going to be nice and warm for Sunday. Nobody will want to give up that setup and change everything just because it's a little bit wet on Saturday.
I hope in some order it's Hamilton, Vettel first and second on the grid, and I hope they both get away well together because that's one of those races where it's so important to lead into the first
and it's
corner.
quite difficult to overtake despite the fact that it's it is. There's only really a couple of overtaking spots.
Yeah, and one of them's going into a fucking chicane.
Both of them are going into chicanes.
I mean, getting a good start at Monza is key. Don't forget, you've got the incredibly wide off-track area that you don't get penalised for at the start.
Shortest run down to the first corner as well.
Yeah, but the ones from further down in the grid can make up positions
Yeah.
just by getting a good start and running wide.
In fact, be nice if whoever's on pole had a bit of a boggy start, and whoever's on second gets a good start, because that'd have them fucking neck and neck going into the first chicane together. They fucking collide with each other. Kimi wins the race at 50-1.
Ta-da!
And
Hulkenberg on the podium.
Lee knows where a five of his money's getting wasted.
And Lee's betting tips again.
I had money on Kimi this weekend for pole and the win.
That went well.
It did.
We will of course.
I still think I had a chance for the pole there if his car hadn't have gone.
We will of course be live blogging the race on Sunday.
And every race until the close of the season,
That is true, and I will be doing qualifying as well on Saturday.
because this is going to be a tight season now, right to
yes.
the end. Real tight battle.
You are stuck with us till the end of the season and probably longer. Normally, I'd say it's total shunt time next,
But it isn't.
but it isn't. We're gonna do sort of Formula Lee and F1 2017. So what do we reckon to it?
It's alright.
It's alright.
Yeah, it's basically it looks like 2016 game, but they've put the 2017 liveries onto the cars. It's there's not much change in the look of the game. The graphics are a bit cleaner, a bit neater. If you do an invalidated lap, it's a lot clearer. The flag takes up like half the screen. But
yeah, you really notice when you've
Yeah.
invalidated your lap.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I did notice, I had a quick play about in the career mode, and you've got to be there's engine components in there now.
I like that.
That is more realism because you do start getting penalties coming in for
Here's something that
component
confused
changes.
me. Here's something that confused me. You know, in the setup when you go to put your brake balance either forward or rear,
Yeah.
it's now the other way round. They swapped it
Oh,
round.
is it? Oh,
yeah.
right.
I'd not noticed that.
Yeah, so adding percentages would take it forward. They've now switched it around. So when you go from left to right, it takes the number down, which is very confusing.
I like the penalty thing with the different engine components because I've had to replace things
In career mode.
Yeah, I've done 3 races so far, and I've done in a gearbox, and I got a 5-place grid penalty.
And there's more objectives to do in practice as well.
I don't like it.
I don't like the objectives in practice.
It's boring.
It takes it away from being a Formula 1 game, I think.
I hate the fact that I have to do practices and the
Drive through the gates.
Yeah, it's.
I'll buy Ridge Racer if I want to do that.
Yeah, I'm not massively keen on that. I'm not massively keen on all the stuff with the engineering. That annoying woman that's supposed to be your manager.
Is it Rachel Weisz again that's doing that?
Fucking I.
Did she do the voice for the last one? Did she?
She was the voice of your agent last year.
Oh, I hate her.
Actually, racing, doing qualifying and doing the race, it's good fun. But I hate this. You have the feeling that I have to do the practice sessions to get the reward points to update the car.
You are Lewis Hamilton, really, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can't I just get in and win?
Well, no, because can you not just get in and do some practice laps and work your best setup out for the car?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you got to drive through gates and drop. It's a bit silly.
You should get points for outperforming the car and stuff like that, and that's your points to do. And that's the other thing as well. Name me a fucking driver on the grid that chooses his own fucking car updates. I think you'll find that's engineers and a team of people back at a factory.
Probably.
That's it. Yeah,
but that's the same as 16.
But it's good
though.
fun driving it, and it's going to be good fun for Formula League.
And you can throw the cars into corners a lot quicker. You can actually do faster laps.
Yeah.
With these cars than you can on the and the classic cars are fun.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the classic cars are enjoyable. Looking forward to the winter series.
So,
Which
how
we'll be doing with the
was
classics.
Belgium?
How was Belgium? Mixed and varied. A lot of debutants as well.
Welcome debutants to Formula League.
Just in time for the last game of 2016. Can I just say that we have had
Goodbye,
since
debutants.
Since Australia, 101 different people have entered a Formula League time this
That's
year.
amazing. Over 100 people. Thank you very much.
That is just since March.
We did it, people.
So bloody hell, and we will have more prize news coming soon.
Yeah, we hopefully just in the negotiation stages.
Mega prize.
Yeah, mega prize.
We are talking something world class.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
World
class.
beating.
At one point, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're interested, if you got F1 2017, you're interested in entering Formula League, do it.
Has something to do with a proper helmet.
Yeah. But more on that when we come back next week, perhaps.
Yes.
But this week's Formula League, what's the
This week's
results?
Formula League. Well, it was Belgium in the wet in a McLaren. Because, as people said, Lee's a tosspot.
Yep.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a fairly swift top 10 and a new name at the top of the standings for this
No
race.
way I'm in the top 10.
You're right. You just scraped into the top 20.
Wow.
What? Lee scraped into the top 20.
Jesus.
Which means I'm about 28th then.
No, at the in-room battle, Lee was 20th,
Yeah.
206.791. Chris, you were 22nd, 207.556. I got 26th with 208.326, and Dan was 20. I make that 28th. No, that should say 27th. With a 208.713.
Quite close then in the Three Legs, Four Wheels podcast room when it comes to Formula League this week.
I can see a new point system being thought up for next year.
For the inter-room battle?
No, for the whole thing. If we've got so many people,
Oh, I see, okay.
it feels like maybe we should have more points going further down the list.
We'll discuss that later.
We'll discuss that later because we have got a system in place for
DNS's.
overall points as
Yeah.
well, which I had to work out on the fly. But in 10th place this week with a time of 2:04.932 is Chris Rowden. In 9th we have our slow Greek Nick Patakis, who is not all that slow anymore.
No, he's
Nope.
quick now. The quick.
Quick. I think we can rename him Quick Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks for the mini shunt this week as well, Nick.
It was a tough one, was that? 2:04.910 for Nick. Finn Wilson in 9th, 2:04.864.
Carl, second name unpronounceable to
Carl,
Paul.
I'm gonna go for it.
Go on.
Yarazec.
That'll
Or
probably be
Yarazek.
right.
Yaracek. Carl. 2:04.288. Alessandro P, because that's all he says on Twitter.
Okay.
In 6th place, 2:04.204.
Jesus.
Occasional winner and repeat contestant and usual podium finisher Luke Nipper only managed 5th this week. His excuse was, I've been playing 2017 all the time.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
2:04.102. Pete Bull in 3rd, regular high scorer, 2:03.804. In 3rd place, Simon Joy, who I believe this was his first race.
Oh, wow.
That's not a real name.
2:03.602.
He's an 80s detective.
Detective Joy.
In 2nd place, Jeff Sharp.
Ooh, again, second place.
2:02.982.
See, whoever's won, I didn't know them.
You're about 5 seconds faster than
I haven't
me.
got them on my friends list. And given how fast fucking Jeff was, he sent a message to me saying, I feel like I should do Formula League times, but I want to play 2017. I looked at his time and said, probably wouldn't worry about that, mate. So he obviously thought I had inside knowledge. Like, people should never, ever think I have inside knowledge on anything.
But the winner this week, and I don't think he's on PS4, which is why we didn't see the time between us, Chris Olby, 2:02.719.
Mother.
That is actually 5 seconds quicker than me.
That's crazy.
I just want to say as well, although I'm going to be nice to Caleb Hurley because he's just signed up for Patreon,
Oh, thanks, Caleb.
but he beat me by 1,000th of a second. We will get the prizes courtesy of Ultraflix off to the winners.
Yeah.
And now, the first F1 2017 challenge. All the points carry forward. We're doing a full season.
Yes, we are.
So this is running to Abu Dhabi, but
Yeah.
the game switches now to F1 2017. And it's going to be in Monza. We had a wet race in Monza last year.
We did have a wet race in Monza last year.
I'm moving.
What? Where?
I'm having this to get ready.
All right, okay. We'll have this year's Ferrari
Yep.
at Monza
Yep.
in the dry.
Thank God for that.
So Ferrari at Monza in the dry.
Yeah.
That is your first F1 2017 challenge, and as I say, hopefully a very, very big prize being put in. We don't know for sure yet, but once we've got it sorted, we'll.
Yeah, we
We'll let you guys
are.
know.
We are hopeful.
Yeah. And you should be too, because the world is full of joy.
We've just got to work out how to give it away.
No, he finished third.
Dear God! Wow, Chris, you picked up that guitar really silently.
And well, the chair.
Nobody noticed that chair rattling.
Well, the chair's not normally this close to this particular part of the floor, which makes lots of noise when I move. Except
I thought all chairs were close to the floor.
no, there's a part of the floor that makes lots of noise, and today it was there.
It's always the bit under your feet, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is Dan gone to sleep?
I think so.
yeah.
In that case, speed this up.
Total shunt, look at everyone, total shunt. Who's a shunt? You're a shunt. Look out, here comes a total shunt.
Last time I heard that song played that fast, it was on a Ramones live album.
They did the total shunt theme tune.
Yes.
I was born
Under a wandering star.
Under a bad sign?
Under a crossfire hurricane?
all close answers.
Born down in a dead man's town?
In 1948.
1948, so that makes them something years old.
Old. Years old.
Is that 60, 69?
Sounds about right, yes.
Oh, 69 or 50?
60,
69.
68 or 69,
Okay,
depending on when.
yeah.
In 1975, I moved to Formula 2.
When Formula 2 was a thing before Formula 1, as it is now, but it used to be old independent, didn't it, Formula 2?
Yeah.
Mm.
In 1975. So look at somebody who may have followed a Hunt and Lauder sort of era, if they did
Yeah.
get as far as Formula 1.
I did make it to Formula 1. I didn't win a championship.
So not Hunt or Lauder.
Well, no, yeah, Hunt and Lauder obviously were both in Formula 1 by 75, but someone of around that era, perhaps a little bit later.
I will remind you, I would like a name.
Oh yeah, you want to write this one down, Paul?
No, I'm going to give this to you because I haven't got room to write anything over.
Oh right, okay, that's fine.
And your handwriting's legible, mine isn't.
Barely. So guess number one then, who we're going to go for? So because somebody who's
We decided Jackie Hicks hadn't won a championship, didn't we?
yeah, we did decide that. He was around about that time, wasn't he? He was in the late 70s, early 80s.
And Belgian.
And Belgian. Won races though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Should we just put him down? We haven't got anything better, have we?
Put him down as a start.
Okay.
He
That's
looked fairly old on the grid, didn't he? Potentially 69.
Yeah, I mistook him for Cliff Richard.
next.
I took part in the first 1-2 for Renault in its Formula 1 history.
It could be Jackie Hicks.
I will clarify, I have no idea whether that is Renault team or Renault is like an engine manufacturer.
It was Renault.
Yeah.
It was Renault team. Then,
Yeah, they
because
entered.
Everybody else was still using
Ford.
Cosworths,
Right.
Yeah.
apart from Ferrari.
Yeah. Jacques Lafitte. Was he part of the Renault team?
It must have been. I think. If you were French, you drove for Renault at some point in the 70s.
So possibly Jacques Lafitte as well. We're thinking around about the right time, isn't it? Late 70s, early 80s. 79, wasn't it? Renault came into Formula 1? First time?
I thought it was a couple of years earlier, but I may be wrong.
Okay.
I raced for no less than 5 Formula 1 teams.
Ooh. That doesn't help me. Does it help anyone else?
No.
No. Okay, next one.
Do I want an answer?
Not
No,
yet.
that was
No,
only
yeah.
5.
No, there was 6.
Was it 6?
Yep.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you want to check your working and start again?
So, we've got Jackie Hicks and Jacques
Oh, no,
Lafitte.
sorry. Here, you can have another one. In 2006, I raced the inaugural season of the Grand Prix Masters series. Sorry, I missed one.
The inaugural season, that one season that they did.
Yeah.
Both
But-
races.
Was it 4, wasn't it? I think 4 races, yeah. When Mansell won all of them.
He
Or
won
3
three.
of them. Yeah, 3 out of the 4 of them.
Yeah, I missed that question, like I missed all the Masters races.
Yeah. Oh, I watched the Masters races. It was quite fun watching Riccardo Patrese putting on glasses to get into his car.
And having Murray Walker commentating.
Yeah, yeah.
Rennie Arnoux was synonymous with Renault when they were first starting.
Rennie Arnoux. GP Masters, though. Yeah, possibly. Rennie Arnoux, he never won a championship, did he?
No. We'll stick Jacques Lafitte down for now. We've always got an option of a third one, should it
Okay.
become clearer.
Jacques Lafitte. Okay.
In 1980, I finished the third highest in the World Drivers' Championship of the 7 French drivers.
3rd out of 7 French drivers. Prost isn't that old, is he? He's not been in the Formula 1 that...
I think he started in about 82.
Tell you what, that was a top-heavy French grid, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. 7.
Le Grid Francais.
Can you imagine how arrogant that paddock was?
Subtitles. Paul shrugged.
Okay, next.
Uh,
Are we on 10 questions, by the way? Is this normal 10
yes,
total shunt?
I was lucky to walk away from a high-speed crash after losing the wheel at the 1982 Dutch Grand Prix.
Thierry Boutsen?
Who I think is Belgian.
Yeah, I think he is Belgian. So that doesn't count.
No.
The 3rd out of...
Unless he, I don't know who it is because I haven't seen it. Unless he
Was Thierry Boutsen Belgian or was he French? I can't remember.
I always thought he was Belgian.
He may have been. His last race was in Belgium.
Could
Wasn't
he
he?
have been a Rosberg?
He got out of the car, didn't he, in mid-season and decided he'd had enough and walked off.
Nobody would admit to being a French-Belgian. If you were French, you wouldn't say you were Belgian, and if you were Belgian, you wouldn't say you were French, because
Think of the internal struggle.
the French-speaking Belgians hate the French, and the French hate the French-speaking Belgians.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's all
next
Flemish to me.
That's Dutch. Twice.
Where are we on? I'm lost. Number 10. Question 10.
one. Is it 10 already?
Hang on. Why
It
not
must
that many?
be.
You were missing
The
questions.
last
out
one
here.
was the last one was losing
So
a
you
wheel.
got 2 more. Sorry. I don't know why I'm not reading these right. It must be just 'cause they're all close together.
No, Dougal, they're far away.
I raced for Lotus. Sorry. Now that was 9.
Frenchman who raced for Lotus.
I think I still want to say Jacques Lafitte,
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
but we still got another clue.
I moved to Surtees for the last 2 races of of the 1978 season.
That doesn't help me at all. Was there one more clue?
That's it.
God.
Right, so we need to write down a 3rd name anyway. So should we write down... It won't be Rennie Arnoux, will it, with that? I wouldn't have thought.
Probably not. Do we need to write down a third? I should just go Jacques Lafitte, because I think that's the closest we've got.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that your final answer?
Are you Jacques Lafitte?
Is it Dan? Are we all happy with this?
I'm happy with Jacques Lafitte. Yep.
I'm Rennie Arnoux.
Oh.
Oh, that's twice.
Yeah.
I've
so
said it.
close. So
Twice
close.
I've said it in 2 consecutive weeks. Do I still keep my smug points from last week? Is it a smug rollover?
No, of course it's not.
No, of
Oh,
course
damn it.
Because I asked, should we write him down? And you said no.
In that case, I'm cashing in my smug points and saying yes.
No,
we should
no.
write it down.
I think the smug points don't roll over, so they would have gone out round about the same time as you got them last week, which would have been like 20 minutes ago, wouldn't it? So they're out of date now.
Right, okay.
So
Who sent that one in, by the way?
that was Matt.
Nice one, Matt.
Just Matt. It's just got Matt.
Thank you, Matt. That was fantastic. Good
Excellent one.
total shot. Difficult.
Yes, keep sending them in. You can tweet them directly to Lee, because that's the best way, because none of the rest of us see them.
Yeah. There's also a really interesting picture of him in what appears to be a Kimi Raikkonen jumper with a fucking vicious looking teddy bear.
Amazing.
Really weird.
Thank you for that, Matt.
As we are a little later than normal this week. I'm going to hold off the mailbag until next week's.
Just quickly, how does this make you feel about me? He's a Miami Dolphins fan. How do we feel about Miami Dolphins?
I don't dislike Miami Dolphins fans. I've got to admit, I don't dislike fans of many teams, just the ones that dress as characters out of Mad Max and support the Raiders.
Right.
Because they mainly dress as characters out of Mad Max.
Yeah.
They call them the Black Hole, but you can replace black with the word ass.
Is that the... Like, you always see those jackets in, like, charity shops and stuff. We've got, like, black puffer jackets.
Yeah, that's the gang wear of the Raiders fans. No, the hardcore Oakland Raiders fans, going back to when they were in LA, they usually look like actual gimps. We're talking leather and studs and spikes and...
Sounds sexy.
Too much.
It really isn't. Right, yeah, they call themselves the Black Hole. So, yeah, we'll hold off the mailbag till last week because we are really sort of... It's not been a long show, but it just sort of started a bit late.
Mm-hmm. And the questions and all the comments that you've sent in will still be relevant next week with Monza being such a similar track. Unless, of course, something hugely dramatic happens at Monza that we've got to talk about for 2 hours.
But to everyone that sent things in, Caleb, Cody, Andrew, Mac, Vladimir, Thomas and Bradley, yeah, we have read everything. They were the ones that we sort of picked out for tonight, and we will get around to answering those. We might just sort of stick them up on social media as well. It's
Well,
probably
send more questions, especially Mac, because I would like to see a return of the Mac.
I think that'll do us for tonight, though.
That will do us for tonight. And if you want to get in touch, you can email us 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. You can tweet us at 3legs4wheels.
I'm at a total shunt.
At Flood21.
At Danbert.
And at Pablo100. If you have F1 2017 and you want to join in with Formula Lee, the instructions for that are on the website at 3legs4wheels.com, and drop us a line if you want to find out what we all play on PlayStation, so find out what our PSN logins are or names are or whatever they're called.
I think
send us an ad, but send your real name.
If you're send the real names because that's fucking insane. If you want to add me on Xbox, I don't have an Xbox at the minute, but I do have a PC, so you can still add me if you need to message me or something like that. And that I'm Leadrum100 on that as well. Leadrum100 on PlayStation. PSN. I might be Leadrum100 on Steam, but I think it's just Lee_drummer, but I'm not sure.
Shows how much notice you take of your own account.
I use Steam
because you've got automatic login on Steam.
Yeah, and I don't really have any friends with PCs, so I don't really bother with the online.
No, you don't have any PC friends.
I'm gathering friends through the podcast.
No, you missed the joke about
not you. No, I don't mean you.
You missed the joke about you being sick and twisted and not having any PC friends. Politically correct.
No, I didn't. I did miss the joke, but I think that was more the joke's fault.
You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook, and we've got the extra podcast for all our wonderful Patreon subscribers.
Yeah, where we talk about everything except Formula One.
Yeah.
Usually, sort of.
Some of it's repeatable, some of it isn't.
Yeah, quite lowbrow stuff this week. Sorry.
No, it's pronounced Loughborough.
Yeah.
What was lowbrow in today's? Oh, the ice lolly and
yeah.
What was lowbrow? Your story.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
God, who'd have thought?
Great therapy. It turns out the Patreon podcast.
No, it isn't.
No, people need therapy after the Patreon podcast.
It's great therapy for me. Somewhere to spill my bullshit.
We'll be doing the live blog of the race on Sunday.
Yep.
And I'll be doing the qualifying blog as well. Just a reminder that Formula Lee this week has moved to F1 2017, and it is Monza in this year's Ferrari, thankfully in the dry. And we'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
We'll see you soon.
Arrivederci.
Bye-bye.
Bye.